Welcome back to episode 28 of UnHammered with your host, Brantt Myhres. And, this is the podcast where we celebrate miracles from week to week. And what else do we celebrate? Hope, recovery, all the stuff that goes along with one's journey when you're trying to better yourself, no matter what it is. So congratulations on making it to the podcast if you're new. And we've built a nice little following here in the last 28 weeks of UnHammered, and I'm proud of it, man. I'm proud of it. Hey, but as always, everybody, no matter what you're doing, running, skipping, jumping, hiking, maybe lifting some weights, I don't know, having a sauna, cold tub, tea, coffee, doesn't matter. I just want you guys to acknowledge the fact that if you're sober as you're listening to this, congratulations to the miracle. And if you're not sober and you're listening to this, congratulations to the upcoming miracle. Bang. Oh boy, that was a December sip, everyone. That was a December sip. That means that I'm adding a little extra goodies to it. But anyways, folks, hey, why don't we start it off and get centered? Why don't we get centered with our week or our day? And I'm going to read a prayer for the day. And this is a good one. This one is called the 7-step prayer. My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove every single defect of character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. I love that one. That's a great one. What's the meditation, guys? What do we got for meditation? What day are we? I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right. Nobody entirely escapes temptation. You must expect it and be ready for it when it comes. None of us is entirely safe. Okay. I'm following. You must try to keep your defenses up by daily thought and prayer. That is why we have these daily meditations. You must be able to recognize temptation when it comes. The first step towards conquering temptation is always to see it clearly as temptation and not to harbor it in your mind. Disassociate yourself from it. Put it out of your mind as soon as it appears. Do not think of excuses for yielding to it. Turn at once to the higher power for help. I like to mention that word. Well, I love that meditation. I like to mention that word higher power. I was chatting with a good buddy of mine, Wacy Rabbit. And he said, he's like, sort of what's cool about the podcast is like, you don't push God on anybody, and I try not to. I try to share my experiences on what's worked for Brantt and some other of my friends. But I also realize that, the word God or I guess some people have a problem or a temporary issue with the word God. And that's why I like to say, either a God of your understanding or a higher power of your understanding. If you could try and find something to latch onto, whether that's a group of recovery, your sponsor, the wilderness, the ocean, whatever it is that you can sort of get out of yourself and latch onto, I recommend it. As we chatted last week about a dry drunk, or a dry addict, like it can happen quick. So anyways, shout out to you, Wacy, for bringing that up, and thank you for that, acknowledging it, and thank you for listening to the podcast, brother. You're an inspiration for many as well. I know that firsthand. Anyways, what do we got here? We got a message from Trevor W. Good morning. Happy Sober Sunday. I just finished watching UnHammered like I always do Sunday morning. Sobriety does get easier to a degree, but for me, it's just a consistency of my routine that is a habit. As for easier, I like to think I'm getting better, but never out of the woods. True, one day at a time. I'm just about 21 months sober. Wow, Trevor. 21 months, man. You're coming up on 2 years. Good for you, pal. I love the new sober life. Christmas is hard as my parents and sisters drink. This Christmas we'll be together in a cabin, and I'll have to use my program. Last Christmas was my first sober Christmas. Yeah, man, that's interesting. Hey, on your first sober Christmas, I remember mine, and it was a little scary. Anyways, what he says was, I love my sober life, doing things now that I couldn't when I was drinking. Thanks for sharing and listening to me. Love going to the rink sober to watch my boy play hockey. Have a great week. Trevor, right on, bud. What else do we got here? I know we got a couple more messages. Where are we here? This guy's Mark F. Thanks for the request, blah, 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 and your courage. Thank you, Mark. I quit drinking on April 9th, 2024, after 50 years of hard ripping. And the same story with you, with lots of blackouts, including embarrassing behavior. I used booze to help me battle Parkinson's disease since I was 27 years old. Anyway, I'll be looking forward to buying your book as soon as possible. Your storytelling and the ability is brilliant and has helped me stay strong. Thank you, Brantt. Thank you, Mark F. I really appreciate you writing in, my friend. And congratulations on how many months do you got? I don't know. Somebody do the math, but you put some months together, pal. And you'll be going hopefully here into 2025 sober, which we all like. Yeah, so what else? Why don't we go over the steps? Do you guys know what the steps are? You guys know what the steps of Alcoholics and Narcotics Anonymous are? Well, there's 12 of them. So we don't have to thoroughly go over them, but why don't we go over them, right? So where are we here? All right, guys. And see if you can relate. So number one, we admitted that we were powerless over alcohol and drugs and that our lives had become unmanageable. Can you agree with that? And again, as I've mentioned, I believe number one is the only one you need to get 100% correct. And then step two is came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, which means that a couple things there. That what I briefly talked about is something stronger than yourself that you can lean on. And number two is that you're fucking insane. And I shouldn't say you, me. I was insane. I was doing things that weren't sane. So I was insane. Okay. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. That was a difficult one for me because I like to regain power. I like to regain control. And you're telling me now that I got to give my will and my life over to the care of God. Well, I believe in God, but you're telling me I got to give my will over, like my life? That's an interesting concept. I don't know if I can do that. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. That's an interesting one, right? They use the word fearless and they use the word moral inventory. I guess that means you can't lie anymore. You can't lie about that step, can you? 5, admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So that's what I did in my treatment center, where I wrote out 13 or 12 pages to Jack. And it was, I told another human being, I told God, and then I had to get accountable to another human. And I'm like, oh God, as he's reading, I don't know, page 4, I'm like, oh God, what's he going to think of me? He's like, Brantt isn't, don't worry about it, man. He's like, I've read lots of these. You're no different, dude. You ain't special. Just to let you know, you're not special here, bud. I had to stop thinking I was special. Number 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. I sort of didn't really know what that meant. I think I might have been ready a long time before that, but okay, you concede. 7, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Okay. 8, interesting one, guys. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. So really in that step, all you have to do is acknowledge people that you've hurt, and then you have to become willing at that point. Okay. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except to do so would injure them or others. Okay. You can work on that with your sponsor. 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, we promptly admitted it. So right away, you admit what you've done, and you don't lie, and you take accountability. And I try to do that daily. Actually, step 10 for me is step 1 and step 10. I think daily you have to do. 11, we only got 2 more, guys. Sought through prayer and meditation. We just meditated a little bit to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for his knowledge for us and the will to carry that out. Okay. 12, this is a good one. This is the juice, the coffee. This is a good one. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of the previous 11 steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and addicts, and to practice these principles in all our affairs. What that means is that as soon as you leave that recovery meeting, you have to practice these principles in all your affairs, right? You can't be a hypocrite and leave the room and badmouth people and lie and steal and cheat. You have to carry these principles in all of your affairs. So yeah, maybe we'll dive into that, the actual steps. I just wanted to go over them with you and see what you guys thought of them. Which ones were easier than others? There's 12 of them. Which ones were easier than others? You guys believe in angels? What kind of angels do you believe in? I was thinking about this the other day, and something popped up on YouTube because I like rock and roll. I like all the old rock, the 80s rock. Anyways, this thing popped up. You ever heard of a band called Great White? So Great White was an older band in the 80s, and Once Bitten, Twice Shy was one of their great hits. Anyways, one of my favorite bands. So this is back in 2002 or 3, I believe, in Providence, Rhode Island. And I was playing for the Boston Bruins farm team. And we had a day off the next day. And I called a friend. And I said, hey, man, you want to go to the strippers tonight? And he's like, sure. I said, great. I said, hey, listen, Great White came out with their greatest hits. I want to stop by the mall and grab the CD. He goes, yeah, I like them too. Let's go. So anyways, we go to the mall in Providence. And I buy Great White's greatest hits. And we go to the strippers. And I got one of the strippers with me. And she's on my lap. And, we're just chatting, having a drink, whatever. And her friend comes over and she's screaming. And I'm like, what's going on, man? What's going on? She's like, oh my God. She's like, some fire happened. Some fire broke out at this club, and people are trapped. And when you hear that, you don't really think the worst case scenario. And I said, really? I said, who's playing? And she said, Great White. And I went, what? I said, that's 10 minutes from here. So anyways, the story behind the Angels is that not once did I hear that Great White was playing 10 minutes from where I lived when we had a day off the next day. I know myself, it was 100% that if I would have heard that they were there, I would have been there. And here's what happened. It was considered one of the worst fires in U.S. history. And within 30 seconds, because the roof was made with these eggshells, it went up in flames. And you couldn't get out. There was one exit. It was called the night station fire or station fire, whatever it was. And people, a lot of people died. I think there was over 100 people that were dead. And it happened in under a minute. It's the scariest video you'll ever see. Excuse me. And all I could think about was, man, is there moments in your life where you're like, holy crap, like there was an intervention going on there. I would have been, anybody that wasn't towards the door died. They burned to death. They got trampled on. So I would have been playing pool up front. When the band came out, they played their first song and the pyrotechnics went off, and that's when she lit up. And I would have been in the front row rocking, and I wouldn't have made it out. So I think about that. I think about a couple times in my life where I guess I just wasn't ready to go. What about you guys? You guys have any stories about angels, or you believe in angels? That one was a wild one. Very, very scary. What else here, guys? You guys ever say anything when you're drunk or fucked up that you're not proud of? Sober cringe, as they say. What have you done? What have you said? Oh, gosh. I don't know how many times I've sober cringed. Probably, to be quite honest, at me. You know? Whatever. I lied to everybody all the time and said things that weren't true and made myself out to look better than I was. You know, inside I knew that I was becoming an extreme loser at that point. But sober cringe was the next morning when I'd wake up. Actually, sorry, I'm going to take that back. Sober cringe was the next morning when I was still up and go into the bathroom to take a piss. Walk by the mirror and you'd give yourself a look and you'd be like, fucking Jesus, get some sleep, Brantt. And so yeah, have you guys had any things that you really regret that you could take back that you've said? I think for me, again, it was more looking at myself from the mirror than anybody. Dude, get some sleep. Anyways, sort of also wanted to chat. Maybe I could get your thoughts on it, guys. What we've all been through, and this isn't for anybody that's addicted. What does depression look like to you? What does depression look like to you, and how do you know that you're in it? For me, that's a tough one because I go back and forth with, am I depressed or is my head fucked up from all the punches I've taken? CTE. What is it? I sometimes I don't know, I think they talk about the loss of happiness, and hey guys, if you were to look at my life and I guess you could say the things which really don't mean much, right? I've worked hard though. I've worked hard to get here and I've accumulated some stuff in my life. But when it comes to happiness, when it comes to that joy that they talk about, sometimes I have a hard time getting it, and I can go a whole day without feeling any joy, and then the next day will be a little different. It'll be a little different. So what does depression look like to you? I think for me, the big one is not necessarily feeling a ton of happiness. That's probably the definition on Google, isn't it? And then what else? I think too, when you've accomplished the things that I've done in my life with hockey and money and all that kind of stuff, and you get to be 50, there are different things. So I'll tell you about happiness. So this morning I woke up. Buds was kicking me in the bed. So I had to move him. I had to move the little guy. He's a strong little bull. But anyways, so I moved him to the bed. I'll tell you what happiness is, guys. It's 6:30 a.m. 6:45, I think. His lunch is already made. His lunch is made. And I go into his room and I see him sleeping quietly. Got the little fan on. And he's just so beautiful to me. And I go over and I pick him up and I open up the blinds in my room. It's 7, still a little dark out. And I get him and I wrap a blanket around him and I lay him on my chest and I'm rubbing my hands through his hair. And then he takes his little hand and he puts it on my face and he rubs my face. And then I'm rubbing his back. And he says, "Good morning, Daddy." And I said, "Good morning, son. I love you, Daddy." "Yeah, I love you too, son. And thank you for being such a sweetheart." That to me is a happiness now. You know, I guess it's God said to me, "Brantt, we're gonna gift you with a little boy." So anyways, I'm realizing that those things that you cannot buy, can't put them on your fucking visa. I know that, right? The stuff you can't buy is the happiness, everyone. And whether that's anything to do with the wilderness or animals or whatever it may be, or doing your own painting or writing your own book or writing a poem or doing something special for somebody, doing charity work, stuff you can't purchase is what is going to fill the void of depression. That's my opinion. Take it for what it is. Okay, you beautiful humans. I know you guys are just beautiful humans. You want to rock? I do. Okay, here we go. Page 66, shout out Mario Lemieux. "It is plain that a life which includes deep resentment leads only to futility." There we go, Brantt, hang in there, grade 9, "and unhappiness. To the precise extent that we permit these, we do squander the hours that might have been worthwhile. But with the alcoholic or drug addict whose hope is the maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience, this business of resentment is infinitely grave. We found that it is fatal, for when harboring such feelings, we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the spirit. The insanity of alcohol and drugs returns and we drink and use again. And with us, to drink and use is to die." They're serious, guys. If we were to live, we had to be free of anger. The grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. They may be the dubious luxury of normal men, but for the alcoholic and drug addict, these things are poison. Exclamation. We turn back to the list. They're talking about the list of, I believe it was step 4. For it held the key to the future. When we prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle, we began to see the world as its people really dominated us. In that state, the wrongdoing of others, fancied or real, had power to actually kill. So they're basically saying that any human out of your control has the ability to kill. How could we escape? ? We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? ? We could not wish them away more than we could do alcohol or drugs. Okay. We'll read another paragraph. This was our course. We realized that let's back up. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. This is what I really needed to go back on this one, man. It helped me with people in my life. Though we did not like their symptoms and the way they disturbed us, like ourselves, we're sick too. We asked God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, this is a sick man or sick woman. How can I be helpful to him or her? God save me from being angry. Thy will be done. Wow. Did you guys like that? That was pretty powerful. And I struggle with it. I struggle with resentments, you guys. But that was basically talking about back to the whole poison thing again, you know, and me drinking a bottle of poison and hope so-and-so dies. I don't really hope they die, but you know where I'm going with it. And to me, it's been it's a work in progress for sure. And like shit clings to me sometimes. But again, I don't have a lot of people in my life that do that. But I work through some of the resentments with my dad and my mom. I forgave them. Again, because I was not innocent human beings by any standard, an innocent son. But I understood as I did more work on me and dug deeper. And it's pretty prevalent in the world with family and family members that don't get along. And it is unfortunate. You know, they're your blood, right? All right, what else we got here? Hey, Brantt, how did your career end? Oh boy, how did my career end? Well, how did my career end? Well, I'll tell you, my career ended. A guy named George Laraque. And you ever hear of him? Toughest guy, I don't know, that played in the NHL for 15 years. And I ended up staying sober for 2 years to get reinstated back from stage 4. And the Calgary Flames gave me a contract. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there and Daryl Sutter comes up and he says, "Hey, Myhres, you're in the lineup tonight." And I'm like, "Oh, no, we're not playing Edmonton, are we?" He's like, "Yeah." Okay. Anyways, guess who was playing for the Edmonton Oilers? Big George. And so there I was, 2 years sober. I was in warm-up, and I don't remember a thing in warm-up. Sort of blacked out at that point. National anthem, don't remember that. Because I know what's coming in about, 4 minutes. Anyways, national anthem ends. I sit down. I got, enough Vaseline on my face, to slide from here to California. And all of a sudden, first line gets out there. Second line gets out there. And Daryl gives me the tap on the shoulder. "Myhres, you're up." And I get out there and I'm skating and I hear, "Hey, you want to go?" I turn back. I said, "Can we go later?" He's like, "No, we're going now." I'm like, "Oh boy." So anyways, drop the gloves. And next thing I remember, I am throwing as hard as I can. And at that point, it doesn't matter because I'm on my knees. And all I could think about is my dad telling me, "Son, get up and keep throwing." So I get up and I go to throw another punch and the lights go out. It goes black. And the next thing I remember, I'm on the ice and the referees are like, "Are you guys done? Are you guys done?" And I'm thinking, what do you think? What do you think? I get up and instantly I grab my eye. And the socket's not feeling good at that point. And I got to have emergency surgery the next morning. So George broke the orbital bone in my eye where there was no floor anymore. And it sat back. And my eye was sinking back at that point. And I go in the next morning and I have emergency surgery. And they put a plate underneath the eye. And guess who the first guy to call me at the hospital was? Yeah, it was George. "Hey, Myhres, how you doing?" I said, "Hey, thanks for calling. I'm doing fine." He goes, "You're one tough son of a you-know-what." I go, "Well, not as tough as you." Anyways, Big George, he's a great guy. No hard feelings, George. So that's how my career ended. 2 years sober, get on the ice for, 8 seconds. That was it. So anyways, guys, hey, December, getting ready for holidays. We're all getting ready for the holidays. We'll talk about that more. But why don't we exit? Why don't we exit with a, you guys want to do the promises again? Sometimes the promises are good, right? Because they tell us what's out there. Where are we? Did I lose my spot? 85. Let's see here. It's page 86. Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. Actually, at night. Let's do this for tonight, guys. Tonight, because you guys are probably listening to this in the morning, maybe the afternoon. Let's do it for the night. When we retire at night, where we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? ? Do we owe an apology to anybody? ? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving toward all? ? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must not drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire that corrective measures be taken soon. Okay, so that's when you guys retire at night. Excellent. Love you guys. I do. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, taking time out of your day, and having a mini AA and NA meeting, as they say. And I hope that it's left an impact on you today, and you can get through another 24 hours, or if you've been on the journey for a while, maybe it's just a little bit of I wouldn't say pep up, but a little bit of motivational, a little bit of laugh, whatever. It's UnHammered. Take care. We'll see you next week. Bye.